Welcome to the first official episode of the We Are Here podcast. This is episode 2, I guess, technically, but we've got a pilot episode out there. But we're going to welcome our guest, Mayor of Streator, Tara Bedei, today. And so we just want to say welcome to you, first of all, kind of introduce things here and get us started. But my name's Paul.
My name's Tony.
And we are your hosts, and we're here to celebrate Streator. That's the goal of this We Are Here podcast. We want to do a few things through this to give our city a voice by letting people tell their stories. Today we're going to hear from, like we said, our mayor, Tara Bedei. And we also want to build bridges. We're going to talk a little bit about that today with Tara, about connecting with people and how those connections that she has in the community lead to the betterment of really our whole community. And then we're just going to celebrate who we are and where we're going. We're going to talk a lot today about our, just the way our city's been built up, the downtown area especially. We're going to talk a lot about volunteering and how we are a city that cares. And so, without further ado, we'll get into it.
Yeah, I do want to say, if you are watching us on YouTube, we had some technical problems with our cameras about a half hour in, which is close to the end.
Yeah.
But it'll go to a beautifully crafted logo that is beautiful.
And crafted.
Yes. But we apologize for that. We're going to try to fix that for the next one. But hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and let's just celebrate Streator together.
All right. Well, we are here for the We Are Here podcast, the official first episode with Mayor Tara Bedei, and she is our first official guest, and we're so happy to have you with us.
Thank you.
Our mayor since January 2022, right? Did you say?
Correct.
Yeah, and officially elected this April of 2023 as our mayor of Streator, and so we're so happy to have you here with us. And I want to share a little bit of why we asked you to be here. This actually kind of stemmed from an idea that you had about this Celebrate Streator network, and I'll talk a little bit more about that throughout. But you had said to a room full of ministers that I was in that you would love for someone to create kind of a Celebrate Streator network, and that kind of sparked a vision for us as we were talking about how can we make an impact in our city. And so we thought it was fitting to have you as our first official guest. So thank you for being here.
Yes.
And
We've been holding off.
Yes.
Because we're like, I was pretty adamant. I'm like, we need the mayor first.
We need the mayor first.
That's
So
when you told me you were going to do this, I was like, someone took what I said and did something with
Absolutely.
it. I mean, it made my day when you said you were doing this. So I'm honored to be here. I think it's a great thing.
Well, it is an honor to have you. And is there anything you want to tell our listeners about yourself? Tell us a little bit about your story, who you are, what makes you tick. What gets you
Sure.
out
So
of
I
bed
grew
in
up
the
in
morning?
Streator.
Okay.
I'm a Streator girl, born, raised here. Went to all the Streator schools, and then graduated Streator High, class of '97, and I went to Eastern for a couple years. And did kind of like a pre-engineering, and then I went to UIC, finished my degree in industrial engineering. And after college, I spent about a year and a half in the suburbs working, my first job, and then moved back to town when my dad had health issues, and I wanted to spend what time we had left with him. So I came to Streator, bought a house, and 25 years old, bought a 4-bedroom house and thought I'm never going to have to move again. And I've been there. And now I'm married, and we have married to my husband, Kurt, who's a big support and helps me do everything that I do. And then we had a little boy in end of 2021. So when I became mayor, it was like I just had a 4-month-old.
Wow.
But he'll be 2 in a couple months now. But so yeah, between just growing up here and ties to my family and trying to get more involved, I decided to come back and make a life here. So
Very good.
Yeah.
Kind of put down roots where you're from.
yes,
And,
yes. And I said I lived in a small town, and I lived in the suburbs, and I spent a couple years in college in the city, so I got the opportunity to be in different places, different environments. But so Streator's just home, and I still have mom and sisters, and my best friend moved back, so we have a good base here.
Good
so.
community
Yes.
around you, and fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is great. And we just love hearing people's stories and their connection with Streator. And so tell us, what do you love about our city? What do you love about?
There's a
being in
lot.
Streator?
When I moved back, I was kind of like, a lot of my friends had gone off into the world, and so I didn't have a lot of connections, I guess. Where like a lot of my good friends were gone. They were in college or they had moved, and I wanted to do something. So I started to get like a little bit involved in clubs and different groups, and that's kind of what led me down the path of this. So the biggest thing that I love about Streator, that I think we can beat anybody, is our volunteer groups. And I mean, I'm in a handful, but there's so many. All the people that volunteer for, we've got Park Fest coming this weekend, and Light Up Streator does that. The 4th of July and some of that, now it's Streator Fest. But I mean, just the sheer volunteer spirit that we have is just, I always say we are unparalleled with that. I don't think anyone can beat us.
No, when we were thinking about organizations and people that we could interview, the list was endless.
There was
there's
no
so
shortage
much.
of
There
people
is.
to interview. So can we talk about some of those organizations that you
Sure.
were a part of even before
do.
becoming mayor? I mean,
I have a
what
list. Let me get my list,
yeah,
because I have to
and I'm
look, because
sure-
I'm like, how many?
I'm sure the fear is, what if I forget somebody? But
I don't want to forget anybody.
Yeah, but
so the first one, in 2011, I ran for city council and I didn't get elected. But what happened was Councilman Ed Brozak at the time was like, you have some good ideas, join tourism. So that was like one of the first big groups that I joined. So I've been on Streator Tourism, and I update our website. Like, I still update and do calendar events and stuff on there. Streator Leading Ladies is another group. It used to be business and professional women, but it's still catered to that. Garden Club, we brought that back in 2012, and I was president, and I've kind of had to step back a little with time. Of course, Streator Fest, Streetscapes, that's the Streator Wall Dogs group.
Yeah.
And what did the Wall Dogs murals, but we still, we just did the Food Truck Fest last week,
Yeah.
and we're working on a couple of different ideas for what our next art's going to do.
That
what we're
food
gonna
truck
do.
festival was awesome.
Yes.
everyone was there
We had
except
such a
for us.
beautiful
We had a
day.
sick kid, so
We went
We
there.
got lucky and had a beautiful
wish
day.
we could-
We went there for lunch, and then later on we came back.
Did
And which we never do. Like, that's just not who we are. But it was such a awesome experience. My wife posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
She saw so many people and talked to so many people, and so I was like walking around Saturday. I'm like, this is a win for the town.
It is, yes. It was said the weather, sometimes we get rain. So
Yeah.
so my husband for like 20 days watched the weather forecast. And then it was like, oh, they took rain out. And then, so it
But
turned out being
you
just
still
got to
wait till the day.
I
till
know.
the day
I
of
said,
for
I
weather.
said, don't look until like 2 days before. But no, the weather's beautiful. And so that helps. And we had 19 trucks, which was a record. I don't know if we're ever going to really want to go beyond that, because it's just, we weren't going to run out of room.
the space and
Space, and just we want to make sure that it's worthwhile for them too
Right.
to come.
And I will say, anytime an event like that happens, especially at City Park, it feels like the community. It isn't just people attending; it's all these other organizations that you've mentioned. They come together and they make the event even better by, I mean, I know we've participated in several of those events, like the 4th of July, and they add their own piece to it that makes it even more community related and even better. That's one of the things I love about the Food Truck Festival and Streator Fest, or what was the 4th of July, is that you just get to see all these community organizations shine, and it's not about any one organization getting all the credit or the glory. It's everybody coming together, and like you said, that volunteerism that makes all of these events even more special. I think
we
as
had
a community.
I mean, we had at least one church there. We had Streator Fest doing the raffle tickets for,
Yeah.
to try to raise money for them. So, and we tried to focus on artisan makers, just to have people that craft and make jewelry and do that for our market. So, a lot of work goes into it,
Yeah.
and then you get to the day. But yeah, it was said we had a really nice event. The kids' toys went over well, or the games. We started setting those up, so every time we see them on clearance somewhere, we're buying.
Yeah.
There were kids
Setting up.
all over
Everywhere.
it. Like
Yeah.
it was constant,
Yeah.
all over those things. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was
great.
fun.
It's fantastic.
It's fun to watch because sometimes, like one year, we had a family playing Jenga, and they were so competitive that we were just watching them. We weren't even part of it,
Wow.
but we were watching them
Look out.
laughing because they were like, it was so funny. So we're cheering on, like, yeah. So it is fun though for us to have a good, it's a nice family event for everybody.
Yeah. Any other organizations or events or things coming up that you wanted to mention, or before we kind of move on to?
Well, I have Start Streator. I have Starve Rock Country Community Foundation, which is another group I'm in. Said Food Truck Fest, Live Well Streator.
Yeah.
So I'll mention them. Live Well Streator is doing an event June 10th, and I'm not sure if this will air before then. But they're doing a family health and fitness day in the park. And actually June 10th is going to be very, very busy in Streator for some reason.
It's just that
We
day.
picked it.
Yeah.
But Poco Poco starting again, which is another great festival. That teaches kids music and everything. This Family Health and Fitness Day, and a lot of organizations are going to be participating. We have the farmers market going on. Later that day, there's a Flag Day celebration in the city park. There's, I know I'm forgetting one. Oh, there's the 1983 girls softball team is doing an event for their 40th anniversary of their state championship. They're the only team that won a team championship for Streator High School, and still 40 years later, they're still the only team, athletic team.
Yeah.
We've had good, FFA. We've had, I think, some track wins, but team sport, that's it. So they're going to have an event later that day. I know, Central Church of Christ, you guys you're participating in this Live Well on the Family Fitness Day. So it's going to be to get another good event. There's different people on stage, living healthy, and then just organizing a cleanup that week, and different things you can do as far as volunteers again cleaning up town, different parks.
All sorts of different
happen.
organizations coming together doing that. Yeah.
Yes, and then again, just different things like our waste management program for the e-trash and recycling your TVs and all that stuff. So there'll be a big push that week. So
Ooh, I need that.
Yeah.
I need that real bad.
yes, it's a great service.
Thanks,
It really
thanks
is.
for the tip. I need that.
Yeah.
It's so easy too. You just go
It is.
online and
It's
fill it
very
out,
easy.
fill out a form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, we have that going on, and then I said I'm on the board for Streator Unlimited. So I can just keep going, but there's a lot.
you were very busy. So
I am.
So again, thank you for your
productive.
time.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. Yeah. So let's talk about your job as mayor, and how does your job as mayor and the connections in the community that you have allow you to make Streator a better place for everyone? And so how do you see your role as mayor and all those connections that you have with our community making
Yeah.
Streator a better place?
There's a lot. I'm trying to figure out which direction I want to go with that one, but it helps having the connections to people to get things done, because some of the different groups, sometimes it makes it easier when they all have a volunteer. I'll sit in with a meeting for a festival, and just say, well, we've had that same festival. There's a problem here with the electricity in the park. That was an example of one where it's that cuts out. So some of that helps as far as just understanding when there's an issue, who to call, when, why. And that's not even just the city side, but when the city's working on something, it's we should probably talk to this group because they are involved with that. So that does help. See if I made a note on that one, but trying to think what else I want to mention on that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I think it has some of the knowledge. Then So I've been on council for 10 years. So some things come up and I'm like, oh yeah, we looked at that 5 years ago and here's the reason why it's this way instead of that way. So that kind of helps too.
So do you feel, 10 years doing anything is a significant amount of time in this day and age. So do you find that you as a council, you kind of lean back a lot on that experience and kind of say, well, we've dealt with this before, and
it's funny because it's like in 2013 I was appointed to finish a term, and then was elected in 2015, and I was the young, the newbie, and now I'm the old one. And I felt like that too when like my first job I worked at Caterpillar, and it was like I hired in and I was like 25 and I was in a cubicle with 3 guys that were 30 plus years of experience. And then when I left in 2017, I had 12 years and I was like the old person in the and you're like,
seasoned.
Seasoned, exactly.
Yes.
Or more experience. And then you go, how did that happen? So it's kind of funny because I've seen that in both my career and now on city council as mayor. So yeah, I mean, there are things where it's like, oh yeah, we've dealt with that, or I know that here's how to kind of approach some different things. So yeah, there's times where it does.
Or I've seen this person handle this before. I know they can handle it now. Just kind of who can you trust to take care of the job and things like that. So it's good to, I think, have that experience and leadership and be able to call on that and use your all of those community connections and things like that to get things done. It's just a great sometimes you say something in a meeting and you end up on a podcast later, right? Where someone took your idea just throwing ideas out there and hoping somebody listens, and sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do.
So I'm gonna switch order here just a little bit, if that's okay. I want to talk about barriers and roadblocks, and then I want to come back and talk about how you would call on folks to get involved. So because we talked a lot about volunteerism, some of the positives, and I don't want to take a turn for the worse or anything like that, but what are some of the barriers and roadblocks that you see that keep us from growing stronger as a community, and then how are you working, or how would you like to work to remove those barriers?
One of the big things at least on the city side, is always finances and budgeting to give services that we need without overtaxing our citizens. And there's a balance. And there's some things that are amenities that it's like it'd be great to have it, but can we afford it? Yeah. And that's the struggle. That's the hard part. And just trying to keep a good, just trying to keep that good balance there and prioritizing and making sure we can do that. So one of the big things I'm supportive of is trying to get grants and bring us money back to Streator as much as we can. I did make that one. My first year as mayor, we actually brought in almost $4.5 million.
That's incredible.
Back.
Wow.
And I can't take the credit for all of those because some of them we applied for when Mayor Lansford was here. But just from those grants, we did $550,000 for this housing rehab project. So that's owner occupied. There's income restrictions, but we can do 10 homes up to $50,000 to make them more livable for our citizens. So that could be anything from water heater to electric to handicapped accessibility to a new roof, to make people's lives better in their homes. And then we got the Safe Routes to Schools grant, which is going to do sidewalks all through Riverside. So that's $300,000 to do that project and connect basically 18 and feed into Keim School. So that's another one. Something really, this is kind of cool, is if you're kind of a techie person, we got almost $1 million, but $950,000 to do improvements to the incubator. So that's another thing that, again, we couldn't afford it otherwise, but we're going to put in, do some improvements to the building HVAC and different things there, but we're putting in a maker's lab. So like 3D printers, that kind of stuff. So if you are looking to start a business, or you have a business and you can't quite afford that tooling and some of that, the plan is to have that there. You rent machine time or time in the space, and now you've got a place to go try to build, whether it's a prototype or whatever. But that's again another project that we couldn't do without it.
Really quick, just for anybody that doesn't know, can you explain what the incubator is?
Yeah,
and kind of the vision behind that.
Yeah. So when the National Guard, we had at the Streator Armory, we had National Guard there for decades. They were basically consolidating and looking to move out of the building. We didn't want, because it's such a big building on a main road, we did not want that to sit there vacant. So we were, and I was on council at this time, but we were able to go to the state of Illinois and basically get that building for $1 and take ownership of it from the city. And I think there's a covenant, like if we ever were to get rid of it, it goes back to the state.
Yeah.
But we thought, let's do like an incubator space to try to promote. We want economic development. We're more likely to have a small business start than a 3,000 job factory, just because there's maybe a handful of those projects in a year in the whole country. So let's give a space to try to just grow that business and grow people. We offer low rent. You also have a community aspect, so you can go walk. It's $1. You can go, it's raining out or a snowy day, you can go walk the gym. There's basketball games there, some
volleyball. Yeah, there's people. All sorts of pickup games.
Yeah,
that happen there.
and there's just different. You can rent it. You can do a party there. You can rent the gym and play basketball with your family or your friends. So it's both kind of a community space, but also a pro business, a small business space for you to grow. So that we're going to be working on adding more to that. So that's again another project I'm looking forward to seeing. Just kind of grow that.
And correct me if I'm wrong. The space is kind of slightly customizable to what people need. Like
there's different rooms. So there's a couple garage doors. There's a garage bay.
Yeah.
And we've had people that have detailing businesses that have been in there. There's office spaces available. So, and then there's we have the kitchen. Yeah. The kitchen space that you can rent. So we've had different. We had a pop-up kitchen once where somebody did a pop-up restaurant for a day and tried it out to see if I'd like doing this.
Nice.
We have had people that do different meals or just cooking classes. Yeah. And then I know there's a gym in the back in one of the rooms. And we've had 2 of those. So we've had 2, one was a CrossFit and then this one's Maiden Resistance, which I think is more catered towards women. Yeah. But there are different types of spaces based on what you're looking for. Yeah. Retail may be a little hard. But I have a different idea for that. But
that's in one of the notebooks.
It's in one of the notebooks.
It is in my notebook.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And so I guess the follow-up question to the roadblocks and barriers is how can others help? How can people get involved?
Sure.
So you talked about grant writing. You talked about some of the things that
coming up with
the city's doing. But what are some ways that an everyday citizen could get involved?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just get involved in something. It doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's you have a neighbor that needs help, to joining a club, to walking up the street and picking up trash. I mean, there's anything I could, sit here all day and probably come up with a list of ideas. But, I had a neighbor 2 doors down that was 80 years old and her family was away and you just go check on her. When we had a boil order a few years ago, I got her, brought water over. So, I mean, it's very easy things that you can do just to make life a little more livable. Just make those connections with people. And, so that's we have great volunteers. There's still, but you see the same faces. Yeah. So it'd be nice to get a couple newbies that come in. And
what is it? 10% of the people doing 100% of the work.
Yeah. And like we talked about earlier, those people start to get more seasoned as time goes on. And so we need to do in younger faces.
That's definitely, I know a couple of the clubs are having concerns with that as they're aging, who's next in line. And I kind of am looking at that now, even though I'm in my early 40s, I think, who's behind me to reach out to and bring, and get ready. Because I don't know how long we'll be. Our time's limited, so you want to mentor and bring up the next generation behind you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
So we talked about the notebook a moment ago. Can you tell us a little bit about that and about your inspiration? Where do you get your ideas from as far as the future?
So they mentioned
city?
my notebook. This is kind of like my to-do list and idea generation, and don't forget this because I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm the mayor, I work full time, and I'm on a lot of organizations. So I have to be very organized, and I have like my calendar over there, and I have my little notebook, just so I don't lose track of things. This is that I've got just different. Here's things I want to check back in on, and here's different ideas. So when it comes to idea generation, they can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
From just talking to people, and I've got a couple. I have like a page of like quick links that I look at every now and then, just different. From Main Street organizations to business things to like community groups that I just check in and say, what are people doing? What are we doing? How could that relate to Streator? So some of the different things come from just sitting here talking. We had kind of a random example. In 2015, we talked about the year of Pluto. And Streator Streator loves Pluto. Clyde from Streator and discovered Pluto. And we've got murals and different things. And
Pluto will always be a planet.
Always be a planet in our hearts.
Always.
Yes.
And,
the heart on Pluto.
Yes.
Is in our
I just actually funny. I bought my kid a shirt that had the planets on it, and it still had Pluto, and I was like, he's getting that.
Yes.
If it didn't have Pluto, I wouldn't have got that one. But we have that fondness. So we are kind of planning to do something as New Horizons passed Pluto and got the first pictures of it. So that was in 2015, and I was on the council, and I said like one thing at a council meeting, could we proclaim 2015 as the year of Pluto? And then there's like, one sentence made front page news. So then thought, now we're in trouble. We got to do something with this. So we're in a meeting and a tourism meeting with a handful of people, and we're like, how do we tie? I know it's Streator, but like, what do we do? Like, what So we had something at the library when a live feed of when it passed, and just different things. And then we're talking about maybe we could have like a concert at the park or something, what street or whatever. So we were just joking like Pluto Polka Party. And so we did. So we got a polka bag because we're like, we've got a lot of Slovak and Polish, and we like polka music.
Yeah.
So what's so funny with that was it's just us joking around being silly.
Yeah.
And then, let's do it.
You never know. Yeah.
And we ended up getting an award from the state tourism
That's amazing.
conference. And here we're in, I don't remember if it was Springfield or McCormick Place because it alternates, but we're at this conference, and then big on screen it says like Pluto Polka Party. And we're laughing because we're like, did this?
This started as a joke.
It was just a joke,
Yeah.
but we did it, and thought, why not?
That's
what
amazing.
are we going to do?
Yeah.
So some of the inspiration just comes from just like, again, just joking around and being, some are very serious. I go to a conference and I'm like, that's a good idea, or it's just a bunch of us being silly and making jokes and saying, what can we do?
Yeah, kind of not being afraid to ask that question. What if we did this?
Sometimes it's the just different enough or just weird enough that it works. I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
that's some of that comes from. So a little bit of everywhere.
So with that, what do you think the future looks like for not just for Streator? I mean, you can focus on here, of course, but also just 50,000 foot view for smaller communities in our country. How do you think small towns can thrive, not just survive in the future?
I think one of the big things that I see that changed the world was COVID, and people were working from home, and you can work from home anywhere.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing where like investing in like fiber internet for small towns, especially if this trend stays on, I think that's a big thing. And I know we're working on a project where we've got someone that's looking to bring fiber to homes across Streator, which is great because we have it to businesses right now, but not homes. So that's a big thing that I think small towns can take advantage of because our cost of living is lower than if you're in a big city, if you're in Chicago or the suburbs. And I see that. I've had a couple people that say, I was sitting up there in a $400,000 house and, it's like this little condo and you can buy a huge piece of
mansion
land here, and you can get a lot more money for what, or value for the price. And so I think that's one thing that really, if you can keep up with those technologies, that would really help you keep that going, especially so there's some jobs I know you can't do remotely. So that's a big one. I talk a little bit, as far as just quality of life, keeping Streator a good place to live. And I think it is. You get the negative people that no matter what you do will have a complaint. But
which is why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, exactly why we're here.
100%.
But I think, I think it's a nice place to live. So what I kind of want to lean into is attracting those families, either keeping them or attracting new. Looking into, again, our parks. That's one thing we're doing some strategic planning. Again, our budget's limited, but what are our priorities? What should we be looking at to try to make, some more, like the big one that keeps coming up is a playground at Merle Park. We need to get a new playground there. So, but we're trying to just look at, again, prioritizing and focus on the things that'll keep Streator safe and a good place to live. And that's really, at the end of the day, what you want, to keep us going. So
that's what makes it home, I think, is,
Yes.
home is where you feel safe, and,
Right.
And I know when we moved back, I had no qualms about bringing my family here, my children here, raising them here, because this is what I know, and this is what feels right and safe. And so, I think just making it home. There's a, right by City Hall on Bridge Street, I think it says a quiet surprise on the prairie.
yes, yeah,
And I think if I were to try to express why I want my family here, it is that this is home. And so, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, how would you summarize if someone who never heard of Streator, never knew anything about it? Well, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot there, so I'm sorry, but it just, I'd love to hear, what would you say, just a word or a sentence to somebody that this is what Streator is. This is what makes it home, or what makes it special.
I think one sentence is hard.
I know, I'm totally putting you on the spot, and I'm sorry. I said no surprises earlier.
And then you changed your
I'm
mind.
so sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, just a small town community that cares.
Yeah.
That's, we're not perfect. And I'll be the first one to say that. But when there's something going on or a family needs help, people support each other.
They really
here.
do.
Yeah.
They do. They come out and they will do that. There's a benefit for somebody. There's people there, and even people that can't give a lot, or like, I have, here's $5. I mean, they will give as much as they can. And that is, I'm amazed and impressed every time.
Yeah.
At some of the things that people will give each other and just come out to support each other. So that's, I said this, that giving heart is that's what brings me back.
Yeah.
And just feeling that connection with people. So it's, I've had the, give me a paragraph, or the sentence is a little harder though.
Sorry for the surprise. So
you guys both grew up here, left for a while, and came back. I didn't grow up here. I am a graduate of 1997, so,
nice.
but not here. We've lived here 13 years, my wife and I and our family and our 2 kids, and it is home. Like, we love Streator. Like, even if we didn't work at the church, like, we don't want to live anywhere else. Yeah. And we've seen this city grow immensely in the past 13 years. Like when we got here, downtown was nothing. Like
Yes.
it was shuttered businesses and it was a mess. And now there's all kinds of activity,
Yeah.
wonderful locally owned businesses. I mean, I think when you guys were talking about how do small towns survive, that's it right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like local people investing in other people
Yeah.
and in the town.
And growing where they're planted. I think
Yeah.
is that's the theme that I see over and over again. That care and that volunteerism, and then growing where you're planted.
Yeah.
When we came back, it was, we were gone for 11 years, and so it was, we'd been back to visit family. Obviously, our family's here, but just seeing that difference, it was incredible. When you finally
haven't
sit
gone
there,
down Main Street in 15 years, you're gonna be
you haven't seen
surprised.
anything. It's a completely
No.
different place. Yeah,
No.
completely different place, and just incredible to be a part of that. Be able to say this is my town. This is my town doing
Yeah,
that.
that was like right on the cusp of me being on council. So it was in 2013. There was the city had gotten a grant to do a comprehensive plan and a downtown redevelopment plan. And as a citizen, I came to it. And so there's actually like my husband and I are in a picture in the downtown redevelopment plan because we're like looking at a map, pointing at like, oh, here's some, different things. And so that plan started to come together, and there was different sessions. And then I joined the council in September of that year. And by then, I think it got officially approved in 2014.
Yeah.
And when we approved it, I read on Facebook and I saved the comments that said, you can roll a bowling ball down Main Street and not hit a thing. It'll never happen.
Right.
And I'm like, one day I can prove
Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
Right.
And
And here we are.
here
Yeah.
we are.
Yep.
We started the facade grants, and the first one or two people didn't quite understand. You got to get that buy-in. So once the first one and the second one happened, it was like, oh, I get it. And so kind of growing on that one, encouraging that investment, trying to be supportive of people that want to start their business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just made the look of it. We had that big, like said, we had downtown businesses had that little pocket park at Main and Monroe, and they had done a lot of work on that, and we're raising money for the wall. That big wall used to be like, I'd get complaints of that all the time. That was like the bane of downtown's existence was that big 3-story wall. And then when that mural I got the print for the mural and like a mock-up, and I gasped. I physically was like, like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
It really does look amazing.
I mean,
yeah.
it does. Just the difference between the two. And
I think our downtown is picturesque.
Yeah.
it is.
Like now, you just want to take a picture and say this is small town downtown.
If you were to go like to Google Street View and stand on the corner of Main and Monroe, and go back 10 years, and look at it today,
It's completely different.
It's completely different. You've got the 3-story mural. You've got the mural on the Monroe Street Tap. You've got the mural across the street, the 150th anniversary. And you just kind of spin and just see the difference in the buildings right there. And just, I mean, I'm being on with Wall Dogs. I love the art. I love the different different things. So
and it tells our history too.
does.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's
we have the coal
art
carts.
with a function as well. Yeah, the
Yeah.
coal carts and
The coal carts are there. We have the blue glass, which is the bricks on the sidewalk are old Streator bricks.
Okay.
They're bar brick. They're
Wow.
made here. And then we have blue glass tiles to give our history towards the glass manufacturing. And the coal carts tell the story.
Yep.
The planters are kind of there's a kind of rusty, but they're core 10 steel. They're meant to look like that. That was to tie us into like our fabrication and our manufacturing, our blue collar roots. So the thoughts were trying to connect all these improvements and give us a tie back into the history.
And it did.
It not yeah.
Yeah.
Knocked it
Yeah,
out of
home
the
run,
park.
yeah.
And what I've enjoyed is it didn't stop there. Like that was kind of the beginning, which was very strategic.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, like that was the beginning, and it's just kind of spider webbing out from there. You've got over there the movie theater that came back in, and all the businesses around there. I don't know. We
It's the
never.
business and the arts. I'm working on a website because we're kind of going for Mall Dogs just to incorporate all of the art and different work. And when we sat there and started naming different things, we have 40 pieces of public art free for the viewing in Streator, from like statues, monuments, and different items like that. But you have the murals, you have sculptures. Don Noon from town, he has 5 sculptures in Streator that are, I mean, he worked with,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
so, and they're just kind of placed around, and you just, I mean, it's just
City
again,
Hall and where the Lipton
and
building
again,
was.
you know, most of that was done by our citizens.
Yeah.
The big wall was a Streator thing. Cities paid for that, but a lot of it was paid for by donations of people putting their time in. So that's what's amazing, as well as just, again, that people giving back. So it's amazing. So I just want to keep it going.
Absolutely. Well, and we want to help be a part of that, and help celebrate that. That's really what this is all about. So, well, is there any just kind of final thoughts? Anything you want to share? I would say one of the things that I think has been a theme throughout our conversation is one. Make sure you mean what you say, because somebody might pick up your idea and run with it. So
And you'll be on a podcast.
Yeah.
So, but that seems to be a theme, and a good theme as well. And I think also
It's like manifesting.
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
Throw it out into the
Yeah.
world and see what happens.
But as far as I think my thoughts go back to leadership and some of the things that you talked about making sure there's someone to follow you, and bringing up that next generation, and also selling that vision. And so one of the things that you mentioned that I was hearing when you talked about the downtown area, especially, and I think there's other projects, of course, that would follow this, is that you may have a vision as a leader, no one else may have that vision until it starts to come to fruition. But if you believe in it and it's the right thing, if you keep with it, then eventually it'll catch on. And it may take weeks, it may take months, it may take years or decades. But if you keep with it, then I think that consistency and that passion for what is right and what's best for everyone, not just for your group or your people or whatever. I think for the whole community, then that's what's gonna last when you build it. So, but yeah, I don't know if you have any final thoughts on that, or that's just what came to my mind.
No, you summarized it very well. I try to do what I can for Streator. I said we might not always agree on what's right, but I'm trying to do, what I think is right. And said the supporting small business and having people come here, and people that used to live here come back, and just trying to get that, just grow and get that vision and get us all working together. That's what makes me happy. That's my day.
Well, I feel like we are heading that way.
Yeah.
Like the train is rolling.
Absolutely.
And we're going that direction.
Just looking
There's
for
days where it doesn't feel like it.
Yes,
where I'm
I'm sure,
like,
of course.
everything's
Yeah.
a disaster.
I'm sure it does.
And then you look back and think, we might have done something.
Maybe we are
here.
doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but just trying to keep that. I mean, it's a marathon, not a race. So you get a couple quick wins, and then you get a step back, and then just keep on, pushing. That's what I'm
Keep
doing.
moving forward.
But no, I mean this is amazing, and I'm thankful for here, and I love that you ran with the idea. It said it made my day. So probably make my year.
Well, we're glad we could
Thank you for
year.
yes, thank
At
you
least
for being
today. Yeah.
thank you for being our first guest.
Yes, thank you so much
you.
for being here as our first official guest, and we hope to maybe have you back sometime,
anytime,
and
whatever you want to talk about.
Hear some updates, and just maybe see where we've progressed even from here as a community. So that'd be fantastic. But
And you can tell all your friends that this was a great experience.
yes,
And it wasn't
Yes.
scary.
I have like 5. No.
But yeah, anybody that makes an impact in our community, we'd love to have them on too. But yeah, Tara, thank you.
I can get you a list.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here, and
Thank
we really
you.
do appreciate it. So, and thank you all for listening to the We Are Here podcast. We'll see you next time.
See you.